Pledge of Allegiance. I'll have the chief lead us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and remove your hats, followed by the invocation by Pastor Vang.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Pastor Vang.
Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here. We're grateful for our leaders. We're grateful for this city. And we ask that this meeting here will go smoothly. We're grateful for your love, for your mercy, for your justice. And we ask that the city of Atwater here may grow in our development, may grow in health as well as spiritual. Bless us, those who are here, that they may be lonely, that they may have your spirit together. Guide us, leader. Guide us our work today, tonight, that we be fruitful and productive and respectful for one another. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Roll call.
Ambrose,
Here.
Kale,
Here.
Raymond,
Here.
Vieira,
Here.
Creighton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mayor and city attorney report out of closed session. City attorney.
Thanks, Mayor. The council has continued the closed session until after the meeting. No reportable action was taken.
Subsequent need items.
Mayor, we have no subsequent need items at this time.
Approval of agenda as posted or as amended.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ambrose, second by Raymond.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ceremonial matters. Atwater Little League. Who's the head coach here? You want to come on up and meet me over here at the podium? And Mr. Kale, you want to join me out there? What? We're going to go this way, John.
Thanks for telling me where those certificates.
Top one? Chief, you have the microphone?
I do.
Thank you. Come on up here. Introduce yourself. I don't think we've met. Paul Creighton, the mayor.
Hi, I'm Scott Hunter, manager.
Scott, we've met, yes. I didn't recognize your hat and your glasses. So Hunter Farms, everybody. You guys know yeah, you look different. So Mr. Baseball is what he is. And so the reason we're here tonight is because the kids in the back room and what's going on here in Atwater, these kids are Northern California champions, 9 through 11-year-olds at baseball. And they throw fast pitch hardball, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to let you give the little story about how you guys got there. I know with your coaching skills, it had a lot to do with it too. And the parents that are all here, I just want to do a little housekeeping thing. We're going to talk about this, give the award, but I want you guys all to come up here. This is your house too, and take a picture with the kids all after they get up here. So don't run off, okay? So here you go.
Would you mind if I brought the other
Please,
coaches
feel
as
free.
well? Okay,
This is for you guys.
great. I'd like to, and then we'll have them bring up the coaches. So Coach Gowie and Tim. So first off, City Council, thank you very much for having us here today. We are Atwater Little League. There are, as you know, two Little Leagues, there are two baseball groups in Atwater. There's Atwater Youth Baseball, and then there's Little League. Little League International, that's the group that you see playing on TV, right? Like right now, I think you see some of the regional events going on. Well, what these young boys did is something that has never been done before in Atwater. These young boys went as far as any other team has gone in Atwater. And what we did is we ended up playing, all these boys played in Little League. I think there's 600 and some. The president's here, Jennifer. How many kids are in the? 500? Wow. Jennifer is the president of Little League, and we should acknowledge her because without her, none of this would happen. Come on up, Jen. Come on, Jen. I'm sorry. She loves the microphone. So what these young boys did is that back in January, they signed up for Little League. They played Little League. We played 16 games in their division and majors, and they were selected to the All-Star team, selected by their coaches and their fellow peers on a ballot. And these young men, there was 12 of us, and we started the journey, one that we've done every year since Little League has been in Atwater for about 30 years. And what happens is that we go into a Section 7, or District 73, which is our district, and we play teams like Turlock and Mariposa and teams like that.
How far do you travel?
Well, this is the kicker, sir. These parents put about 2,000 miles on their vehicle in about 3 weeks. So they're the ones that really need the applause. But no, we traveled. Our district tournament was up in Yosemite. And then once we won that, we beat Turlock, our rival, which we've never beat. So we beat them, and then we went to play in section, and that is all the way up in Pioneer. And I don't know if you know where Pioneer is, but it's by the big town of Volcano. So, so we had to go up there. We played 4 games, coaches, up there, and we won. Yeah. So we ended up doing quite well. There was one point when we were in our district tournament where we were down by a couple runs in the 4th inning. So we could have been eliminated. We weren't. We lost 1 game in that tournament. It's a double elimination. We won. And so then we moved on and played in sections, which is the bigger part of the district. So you play in the district, then you go to sections, and then once you play sections, you play in the state tournament, which was in San Jose. And that we were the top 7 teams out of almost 300.
Wow.
So it was great. And what I'd like to say to the city council is I know that you guys have supported us at Osborne Park with the lights and all these things. And all those things go really far when we do something like this. And we've got so many compliments on how great these young boys represented Atwater. And seeing the Atwater name somewhere where it's never been in an organization that has that's well known like Little League, it's great. So, yeah, exactly. So, when you are in Little League, you play for banners. You don't play for trophies. So, when we get up here, we'd like for the boys to play this banner. But this banner's never been put out ever in Atwater. So, this section tournament banner is pretty darn cool. So, we're very proud. And if it's all right with you, Mayor, I would like for Coach Gowiran to introduce the players and have them come up.
Yes. So introduce them one by one like a lineup and have
Sure.
them get up here.
Yeah. All right, we'll just kind of go.
Number and their name.
Yeah, we'll go with number 8, Cooper Gowiran. Number 35, JJ Salcido. Number 3, Taryn Tiara. Big number 32, Zach Hunta. Number 27, Benny Centeno. Number 13, Vinny Valado. Number 11, Vicente Cortez. Number 0, Ryan Marshall. Number 21, Angel Rivera. Number 45, Bennett Stoddard. And lastly, number 14, Kelly Posada.
Let's everybody give these guys a great big round of applause. All right. All right, let me sneak around the front here. I want to address these guys head on. I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart and the city council here and the residents of the city of Atwater. This is what we're talking about when people do positive things and positive things are coming to us. If you think you can do something, you can do it. And this is a good example of the coaching and the mental attitude that these kids and their parents had, that they went out, they drove to over 2,000 miles in less than a month to do this kind of thing. So this is our hats off to you guys for making Atwater look great. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This wouldn't have taken place without the parents, without Little League, and without the support of the city council. And thank you very much. And to these young ragtag group of kids that represented Atwater, they are the greatest group of kids I've ever been around. They're awesome. Oh, and Ricky Laird just showed up. He helped us out coaching in the game too. So thanks, Rick.
Okay, so parents, I'm going to pause everything right here while we got these kids lined up. They look great. So get up here with your cell phones and take some pictures. And then after everybody's got pictures, you can take pictures with your kids. We're going to do about 5 to 10 minutes on this real quick for everybody. Super important we do this because we need to capture this in history right here. So get up here. Don't be shy.
Do we need to move them in, or can you?
Probably. A little bit more. Tall ones in the back.
You want us to move that podium? We can drag the podium.
Get in there. Get in there.
Ryan.
Let's go that way.
Uh-oh.
Wait on, unplug it.
What's that? It is. So in a few years, these guys are going to be playing pro baseball. Don't forget your mayor when you guys go up there. I want tickets. One of you guys are going to be a pro baseball player one day, at least one. We're going to wait for John Miller to get a couple of good pictures so we can get a local paper, and then after that, the parents can come up here and join these guys for a celebrity photo. John's with the Atwater Winton Times, so smile, guys. Yeah, a positive group. All right, parents, why don't you guys come on up and get pictures with your kids if you guys want to be in the picture with them. Any parents want to get in the picture? Okay. Is she coming up? That's okay, yeah. This is awesome. What do you think, John? Hey man, no problem. Thanks for what you guys did. Where's Janelle at?
2,000 miles in 3 weeks. That's a lot.
Laura, you be taking pictures? Janelle. Lori's gonna do it. Let's go to the parents' camera. There.
You guys go out there? You guys have fun sidewalks. So they have like tennis ball guys and shoes.
I'm gonna,
Giant compressor. Like that's $1,000 compressor. Shoot those things.
right, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a great night. Oh, also the certificate. I forgot to give you the certificate. It's right here on the dais. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Make sure you invite us to the opening ceremonies. Give us a month advance notice so we can all make it there.
Thank you.
Chief? I'll go right back down. Okay, the next award tonight is going to be for a couple of my neighbors. Neil's family, where are you? Right here. Can you guys please come up here? We do, but they're going to be at special treatment.
No, I meant the next one you were.
Oh, yeah, you guys come on up too. Yes. Jacob and Everett. Okay, I'll let you tell the story, but first off, there's a couple of gentlemen we're going to recognize tonight because they alerted these two families here of a fire in the garage that got out of control pretty quick, created extensive damage, and these people were inside the house that was burning at the time, and Neil was at work in Fresno, I believe, right? So he gets a phone call, hey, the house is on fire, and that's like, oh my gosh. But the kids that saved him, Jacob and Everett, where you guys at? Right there. So why don't you two come up here and stand in front of us. Then I want you to tell the story of what happened because your dad said, yes.
So I'm just here representing my father who's on a business trip and regrets that he can't be here. But essentially what happened is there was a fire in our trash can, and Everett and Jacob came out of the house just in time to see it before it got too big to harm anybody. And they ran over and got us out of the house, and then we ran over and got the bells out of the house. And then I have a little speech that my father sent me that he would like me to read. He said, "My family and I would like to express our appreciation to the mayor, city council, and the police department for making the recognition of these two heroes possible. On the evening of May 27th, our family, along with the Bell family, experienced a devastating loss due to a major fire. Thankfully, the devastation that we all experienced did not include the loss of life, and that can be attributed to the actions of Everett and Jacob. I am convinced that without your quick decisions and the potential for injury and death was very high, and my family and I are eternally in your debt. The heroic nature of your actions is testament to who you are as citizens and is a great credit to your families and the values that they have instilled in you. He regrets that he is not able to attend this evening, but would like to again say thank you for you guys' quick actions in saving our lives."
Excellent job. I want the neighbors to also say a few words before we get too far. The neighbors here were also impacted by that. You guys were grossly impacted. Your house did burn also, but it got all the way into your living room, and I saw the damage. But I want you guys to say something if you'd like to.
I just want to thank Neil and his great family. We are family together, and I know it was an accident. It couldn't be helped, and we appreciate all the help that we got from the Atwater Fire Department, Livingston, Cal Fire. They were terrific. They saved our house, and I don't know how else to, and Everett and his cousin, Jacob. If it wouldn't have been for them, I don't know, we'd still be in bed, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, we want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for your courage to come over and take care of everything. Thank you.
So the bravery that these guys showed that night when they ran over, they sprung into action, says a lot for this generation. They get beat up a lot because they're supposed to be sensitive and everything. I think this is a pretty good generation. You guys are showing, you guys have what it takes. You did the right thing. You guys are great leaders for this and heroes, because the 5 of these people are here tonight because of you guys. So I really, bottom of my heart, and the entire city council want to thank you for great leadership and positive progress on what you guys did. And thank God you guys are all safe, and you guys are now closer together, which is unfortunate but fortunate that we are a small family in this community and we all stick together. And you're also my neighbors too. You live right around the corner from me. So, and if there's anything that you guys need done, either of your families, please let us know, and the entire council's behind me. We'll help you guys out with whatever you need, if you need anything whatsoever. But also, I want to recognize our fire department, so if our chief can come up here and recognize the rest of the fire departments here, but it's important that our chief get recognized because we're running at one of the best, if not the best, I'm going to brag and say it, we got the best fire department around. Our response times are great, and these guys are complete professionals. So, Chief, you want to come up and say a couple words?
Thank you, Mayor. The fire department we currently have, a bunch of very, very active, progressive, very well-trained fire department. And we're here for you to serve the citizens, provide that professional service. So thank you for calling. Did you both have cell phones on you? Yep, that new generation. It worked out. But no, thank you. We're here for you. Thank you, Mayor.
Also, the Atwater Police Department responded probably, I don't know which one beat whom, whether it was the fire department or the police department was first on scene. So again, we got the best of the best. Atwater PD, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Chief, why don't you get over here? And now he's going to take it over from here because he likes to talk a lot too. So here you go.
I'm not going to talk too much, but I've known the Compton family for 30 years, almost 30 years. Neil was my trainee when we were both at Chowchilla PD. So when I heard about the fire and the actions of these two young gentlemen, and I just knew we got quality people. So for the Atwater Police Department, we have a little token of our appreciation for your actions way beyond the call of duty. So what I've got for you is a little care package. What this is 2 challenge coins, one for each of you. You won't know what these are until you're a lot older and can actually use them.
How old are you?
21.
They can use them. They can use them.
Okay, so what these are is,
So they're
if you're in a bar and you want a free drink, you challenge somebody to see if they've got the coin. If they don't have the coin, they owe you. It can get expensive. Really expensive, right? This is also a facsimile of the star. And then I've got 2 historical patches from the police department and 2 standard patches from the police department. And my extreme thanks for taking care of business when business needs to be taken care of.
So the boys were just awarded patches by the police department, historical and current, well, along with the challenge coin. And hopefully you guys use those responsibly. Always call a driver.
Yes.
And thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm going to have Councilman Raymond come around and present you guys both with something very important from us. This is from the Atwater City Council. Jacob, which one's Jacob? Right here. So Councilman Raymond's going to present you with a certificate.
Everett, same thing goes for you. City of Atwater would like to extend our appreciation and just honor and recognize you for the exemplary service to the community and the neighbors during the fire. So, thank you.
Oh, you got pictures? Because Neil needs pictures that they were here doing what they said. So you guys move in a little bit closer together. Chief, everybody. One more shot. This is our IT guy.
Don't forget the IT guy.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And this is just a reminder also, make sure you guys check your fire alarms, make sure the batteries are good. Call us. Our fire department will help you with that. Fire safety is important, and pay attention to what we're doing out there. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. City Council.
Thank you. Good night. Next item, presentations, emergency operation plan, roles and responsibility of the elected officials and appointed officials of the city of Atwater. Chief? This is what we're talking about tonight, Chief?
Yes, sir.
You don't have one?
What?
Council all has one? Okay.
No.
You don't mind if you close that door for us? Okay.
If I can get this work. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having me up here tonight. John Slate, the Operations Battalion Chief for the City of Atwater. What I'd like to talk, hopefully all of you have this package, this little packet we put together you got previously. What we wanted to talk about was some of the roles and responsibility of elected and appointed officials. This isn't going to be a very long presentation, just something to give you an idea of what would happen in the event of an emergency.
Can you give a quick background with the previous truck fire, the earthquakes, other things? When things kick into emergency situation like we had with the gasoline spill and the fire, you were the commander of the scene, right? And
Absolutely.
we needed to do some housekeeping on our side so that we know our role and then everybody's role appropriately. You guys handled excellent, and we learned a lot from that. So thank you guys very much for what you guys have done the last 3 or 4 years with all the disasters and emergencies we've had.
Thank you, Mayor. What we're going to talk about is just briefly some of the roles, responsibilities, and at the end we would talk about what the municipal code, who it identifies as the emergency manager, the director, and then I think what you're getting into, this will dovetail into that, which is in the recovery process. Like if we had to get everybody together and activate the emergency operations center that the city of Atwater does have, how that would work. So I'd like to introduce Division Chief Jeremy Ron, if he would come up here. And he is Atwater City's Division Chief. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Back home again. It's good to see all of you. Just real briefly, we want to thank you, Chief Slate, on taking a few moments to think about emergency preparedness. As we know, things in our society today, either it's man-made or natural, disasters can happen at any time, and the more that we're more prepared, the better off we are. As you referenced, we have had some incidents here in Atwater, and I was fortunate, or not sure how to say it, on the day the gasoline tanker did not make the turn coming off of the freeway. And Mr. Mayor, you're spot on. Is getting the right people at that command post made a very substantial impacts, a lot less. One of the things was working very closely with your public works, identifying where all of the drains were going that day. Potentially when we looked at that by pulling out the plans and having the key people at the command post, working very closely with law enforcement to ensure that we had evacuations out of the area. And I think, it was horrible. We lost, there was a fatality due to that incident, but due to the quick actions of the members of the city of Atwater, all departments in coordinating that event, it was just another example of what a great emergency team you have with your law enforcement, public works, and fire agencies. Without the expertise there on that storm drain system, when we had gasoline going down the drains and we wanted to figure out where it was going to go, it was key. And I believe what Chief Slate tonight was just going to give you a brief overview as far as what roles and responsibilities of elected officials as well as your emergency operations center on where it is. So I'll turn it back over to Chief Slate, and
Thank you.
I'll finish up with some recovery stuff for you.
Thank you, Chief. So I've asked Dave Shurick, he's battalion chief for Merced County Office of Emergency Services, if he would be so kind to come up here. He is part of the emergency operations, emergency management for Merced County. So he's ultimately the one that all 6 cities, us included, would turn to if we had to ask it be bumped up to the next level per se. So if we wanted it to go from local level to operational level, we would reach out to him if it was beyond the capacity of Atwater City. And they would coordinate or help us as a city coordinate with the other 6 cities and region if needed. So Chief Shurick. This is Dave Shurick. He's the battalion chief for Merced County Office of Emergency Services. And I think Mike Perez, Fire Captain Perez, is also here. He works in Merced County OES as well.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening. My name is David Sherrick, and I am the Deputy Director of Administration for Merced County OES. So a big title, but what that is, ultimately is I am your point of contact for the city of Atwater, along with the 5 other cities and the residents of Merced County. So what I kind of do is coordination from day to day between individuals throughout the city, your city managers, your fire departments, police department, and working in that coordinated effort in preparedness and prevention. And then there's a response aspect that your fire department, police department, and your public works handle. And then from there we roll into recovery and other aspects. So I think we had a brief video to start off with, if that is working.
It was working earlier.
We need the new generation in here to get it.
Give a moment, and then you have to do that one right now? Oh, wait, here we
I'm
go.
excited. That's good. So I'm sure everybody up here read the plan. I read the plan.
Yeah.
John, you're the one that put it together? You wrote this specific plan?
Yes, we got together and we found this is from Cal OES's materials, and what I basically put together was this document, which is elected officials guide. It's just a basic guide for elected officials. We're going to talk briefly about that, and then I have a little small section out of the Atwater Municipal Code.
I think while they're doing that, we could
here?
probably cover it quite quickly, the elected part. Our role as elected officials is going to be pretty small. I think we're going to, as we had our emergency before, we had 2 or 3 here in Atwater lately. Our role is to make sure that they get what they need, not to run the command and control of the situation. It's police and fire that take care of the emergencies for us. And then our role as elected officials are to make sure that we're getting all the resources that they need or make phone calls where we need to do, and then provide the buildings and other things, the command centers for you guys and other resources, not that we're ever going to be given direction.
Absolutely. Chief Shurick, maybe I think that was his
So
section.
I'll elaborate a little bit more on that. So you're exactly right, Mayor. Really understanding the process and supporting the process is key. We have, everybody has their positions, and we have, highly trained individuals in those positions to work. And we want to make sure that everybody and we do it day to day, and that's what, we use the incident command system, is everybody stays in their lane and does their designated job, and that's how we successfully, in cohesion, work together. So just kind of understanding the process, just so everybody has an understanding. So if we did have a major disaster or something here, what would take place is there'd be a proclamation that would come from the city. If your resources were overwhelmed, they would come and say, we're outside of our means, and the person that would proclaim would be your city manager, Mrs. Waterman. And so you would come to Merced County OES, because the state's broken up into operational areas. And you'd come to us and we proclaim on behalf of the city of Atwater to Cal OES, the state. And that's how we can get that opens up additional funding and additional resources too, to mitigate through that incident and also through the recovery process. That must take place within 7 days of the event taking place. So if you have a disaster or something that is flooding, anything like that, takes place within 7 days, and then different municipal codes read. The city reads within 14 days. You have to renew every 14 days to make sure that that proclamation is still valid. Also with that, some of the stuff that we do as far as elected officials and all of your departments is just really that coordination, that effort between everybody, and that relationship building. The last thing you want to do when you have an emergency is, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you, Mr. Creighton. Oop, I just broke your pen. Proclamation, need to fit now. So that's not the time to meet, or, Councilman Raymond. You want to have the relationship prior to, so we can have that, we're not starting off at that basis, so we can take off from there. Other things that we do throughout OES in the county is training on an annual basis. We have the Incident Command System 300 and 400, which is intermediate and advanced, and anybody within the operational area, which is the 6 cities or the county, attend that. Preparedness drills, we go through and we review any kind of plans that are established, make sure they're up to date and they address any kind of current issues, such as most recently the public safety power shutdown, some of the items you're seeing from PG&E, and making sure that everybody has a plan to to mitigate that and to address that. So we also do drills and evolutions with our NGOs or non-government organizations, such as Red Cross and Salvation Army, but really working as a community as a whole,
And also on that, I think Chiefs worked with our local churches and our schools to identify some other stuff, because I think it's going to be more local than that if we ever do have something on that scale that maybe you want to talk about the discussion you had with some of our churches.
And that is true. We work with the Red Cross and your local chief, and everybody works with the local agencies to identify places that, because it is California, that suit the ability for shelters and things like that. And I'll let Chief Slate speak more to that.
Thank you, Chief Shirk. Is the video ready? We'll go ahead and go forward with it, and then I'll tie into the rest of it. And yes, thank you.
As an elected official, protecting the well-being of the whole community is paramount. Doing so is especially critical when disaster strikes. Maintaining the community's trust and support means being prepared to lead
Just the
during
one
a
TV's on?
crisis.
Volume?
Although this story takes place in the city of Baton
Oh, it's just her laptop?
Rouge, East Baton Rouge Parish,
It's going through
the
here.
lessons
Nobody
learned
can hear.
apply to communities across
Can you guys
the
hear
country.
okay out there?
Disasters disrupt
No.
people's lives, making them feel vulnerable and depriving them of the services they rely upon. At a time of crisis, the community turns to its local government for assurance that preparations have been made to manage the incident and that their lives will return to normal as quickly as possible, with a minimum of inconvenience. The responsibility for a favorable outcome rests with local senior elected officials.
Whenever there's an emergency, the population expects you to step up and be a leader. Now, the question is whether or not you want to accept that role. Because when you raise that hand and take that oath of office, I don't think you ever anticipate that, wow, this other situation may happen that's going to necessitate that I do something a little more in depth than what I did in taking that oath.
Mayor Holden's leadership was tested in August 2005 when Hurricane Katrina struck Louisiana. When the levees in New Orleans collapsed, 200,000 people moved into Baton Rouge. What happened 3 years later with Hurricane Gustav was even worse.
Probably the biggest, at least in the last few years, would have to be Gustav. Certainly the most impacting tropical event for the Baton Rouge area since 1965's Betsy. We saw more damage here in Gustav than we did in Andrew, even though maybe on a national scale, Andrew is a more noteworthy storm.
During a time of crisis, Mayor Holden knew that the people of Baton Rouge expected to hear from him.
I think that people expect for you to give them guidance. People expect for you to carry out basic services like fire, police, EMS. People expect you to deal with flooding. If there's a flood there, people expect you to deal with whatever disaster that has come up in an economical way, making sure they are still able to carry on with their lives and their businesses as much as possibly can. But they really look to you to give them some comfort, give them advice, and also do the job to make their lives a lot easier.
As an elected official, protecting the...
Okay, thank you. That was a short little video. I know it took a little bit to start hearing, but I hope made a little bit of sense. But to go back to what you were saying, Mayor, regarding care and shelter, that annex, that's the annex that the city of Atwater does have. So on this pamphlet, I included the Emergency Operations Center Annex, and we also have, as you all have probably seen, the Emergency Operations Plan. The Emergency Operations Plan for the city of Atwater has multiple annexes that go with it. One of them is this Emergency Operations Center, and then the main Emergency Operations Plan also has care and shelter. So what I've done is you had me reach out to Pastor Maddox and use his facility potentially as a place for care and shelter. So I coordinated with them, with the Red Cross, our local Red Cross agency, the Katrina, who handles that. And they go out every year and basically type out facilities and capture those facilities based on how many people they can house, whether they have showers, what kind of conditions they have, whether they can take animals, how big they are, when they're open. If it's a school, it's only good certain times of the year, as we well know. So they type out those facilities for all 6 cities in the county, and that's part of the care and shelter annex. So in the event that we did need to house people due to some kind of emergency, whether it be a flood, fire, earthquake, we have those phone numbers, contacts. We have a good idea if we have to house so many people where we can move them to. And it's generally geographically based on where the emergency or the incident's at. And it may not be an incident in the city of Atwater. This could be something, an emergency of one of our fellow other cities or the county. And then we've done that in the past. I think Chief Ron may talk about that a little bit when we had people coming into the county from Mariposa County, which it's a big undertaking to do that. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of coordination that has to happen, and the city and counties have to come together. But one other thing, the municipal code outlines that the operational area council, the area council for the city of Atwater is made up of the mayor as the chair, and then also the city manager and also all the officials. And one of those roles and responsibilities is to, and I'll dovetail into what Dave was talking about, do that proclamation in case of an emergency. So if you had to proclaim, that would open up those state or federal funds. So it's very important to know that. And then one other thing out of the municipal code I want to talk about is the Emergency Operations Center. So we do have one designated at Station 42. We use it for a training facility most of the time, but it is designated as the Emergency Operations Center for Atwater City. So if we had to activate that, there's 3 levels of activation, 1, 2, and 3. And 3, let me find it. Level 3 activation consists of, that's the minimum activation level. So it's used for situations that only require a few people. So that'd be like myself, or maybe the chief of police and Merced County OES. That's just minimal activation. City manager is gonna keep the mayor and council informed on everything that's going on. But that's level 3, minimal activation. Level 2 is the next one up. Increased level from 1 to 2. Emergencies are planned. We require more than minimum staffing. And anytime you're going to have multiple agencies like 2 cities or the city and the county, that's when you have to do emergency a plan. You have to get a briefing. You have to start making those plans. Those have to be documented, what you're doing, and keeping everybody informed. You're going to start getting your command and general staff positions filled and all the roles and responsibilities of the city filled. So you're going to get logistics, planning, operations. So that's the operations. When you get the operations, that's going to be the law branch, fire branch, logistics, all those big branches that make things happen. But all really good stuff, and I could go on and on and on about this. This is an 8-hour class, easy, but I just wanted to touch on the basics here tonight, and we do have a plan. We have an emergency operations plan that was 2017, so we got one more year before we have to redo that plan, and then we're working on the continuity of government and the plan, which is like succession planning if something happened, how that works. But now I'd like to turn over to Chief Ron, if he'd like to talk about some of the past incidents we've had here in the county and how those played out. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief Slate, and we can talk about this for about 3 days, so we'll try to be real brief here. You know, just recently, your your local EOCs have been activated. And a lot of times people don't realize how often we do activate. It's not something that we really get out and promote. But for example, it was just a couple weeks ago, we had that little heat push that came through, and we have our cooling zone plans. Chief Sherrick, as his roles and responsibilities as the coordinator for the county, has conference calls with all 6 cities as well as public health. And we just recently had that heat wave come through, and I believe we opened or you guys had the lobby available, and we have cooling zones available. And that is in all coordination, and it's a big taking. But you know, over the last few years, probably the one that sticks out the most is in the 2017 floods. We did have the floods come in. Actually, Supervisor McDaniel was down at the county's Emergency Operations Center quite frequently, working with us and just kind of seeing how it goes. But you're all welcome anytime if you'd like to come out and see the county's Emergency Operations Center. You do have the City of Atwater's Emergency Operations Center located at Station 42. And pretty much it's just a tiered effect if you think about it. If Atwater needs some stuff and they don't have the stuff, they'll reach out to the county. The county will go with the other 5 other cities to see what kind of stuff they could share. When we max out the county, then we go up to the state and then eventually up to the federal. One of the key lessons that we learned during the 2017 floods is the reimbursement side. It's a very lengthy process, and I cannot stress enough on how critical documentation is, maintenance records on how we maintain our roadways, for example. Documentation as far as what we use the vehicles for, timesheets. It took the county, we just finished from the 2017 floods within the last few months, finally closing the book on that. And it is a very long process, and you really need to evaluate how much reimbursement you may see when it's all over. A lot of times they'll come in and there's certain dollar thresholds that the state will have to reach in order for the federal supplies to come in or reimbursements. And sometimes those are just swags, you know, we need this, it's going to cost this much. Well, when you start really diving into that thing and looking into your maintenance records of how you maintain, say, roads, for example, is they need to make sure as they go through that process, a lot of times things come in a little lower than the initial estimates do, and that's what we learned. The other thing that really in this county, our number one issue is flooding. We're fortunate here in the city, well, this parking lot used to flood quite a bit, and Lower Schaefer, but it's getting that infrastructure in there to make sure those pumps are running. And your public works staff is outstanding for all the years being around here, is trying to get out in front of that and make sure those lift stations are getting that water out of that area. The other big component we had was the drought a few years ago, as you remember. We had the drought, we had in the county areas, there was not, wells were not available. That was another component that OES did. The state was reached out for support. They gave the county support, and actually the city of Atwater, a period of time, was actually helping with some of the water to bring out to the private tanks that were set up at different people's process. But we could sit and talk about emergency management all day. I know that you have other things on the agenda, but it's just really key when you get to the recovery component is to make sure that your plans are exercised as well as the documentation is there for reimbursement, because when you go through that, it's just like going through an audit pretty much where you need to make sure and show that you really used this or that to support that emergency to help mitigate it and bring things back to normal. So that was it. John?
Well, that's pretty much all we have for tonight, unless there's any questions that we may answer. And I wanted to thank Chief Ron and Chief Sherrick for coming out tonight. Is there any questions for us?
I want to open it back up to the council. Anybody in the council have anything? No? Great job. Thank you guys for coming out. What about the captain back there? Was he going to do anything tonight?
I gave him a break.
You going to get him off the hook?
Captain
He needs at
Perez
least.
got off. He was just backup in case we needed him.
I think you could ask him a tough question. The big bosses are here tonight, but.
Yep. No, but thank you for your time, Mayor.
We'll take some public comment right now. Any members of the public want to come forward and ask a question or two or anything about this?
Just for concerning.
Yeah, this topic.
You know, what about, you know, it's all good when the community comes together and helps each other out when there's an emergency, and you guys should be doing your jobs. That's what you're elected for. We trust you and everything. But what about when the emergency is caused by the city officials, making us go 4 years without water? What about that? What about the emergency then? Where does anybody come to help people like me and my wife, 4 years, no water. Not only that, in the 4 years, where's the help in our community? How come we're ignored every time we speak? Not one person in almost 5 years speaking up here of our major concerns. Not one of you ever lifted a finger to help us or even talk to us.
Do you have any questions on this specific?
I just want to know about the emergency.
This is more of a higher scale.
Huh?
This is a higher scale for.
So we don't matter because we're not.
You do matter, but.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you do.
It seems like it does. We don't matter to you guys at all.
Thank you. Supervisor McDaniel.
Thank you. Darren McDaniel, 3380 Shoreline Drive. Here as not only as a constituent, but speak on behalf of CAL FIRE. Being inside the OES, watching it operate, it's amazing how good a hands we're in. You go into this OES, there's big screens everywhere from government information system giving us total data on what's going on, weather pictures, weather satellites, everything's a live feed. And I just want to commend them on what they do out there. It's pretty unbelievable. They've driven me through the fires up in Mariposa. I've got to be actually in an active fire, and it's just truly full of respect in everything that they do. But if you watch the Emergency Operations Center and exactly how it works, these guys can tell you exactly when it's going to rain, exactly when the wind's going to blow. It's pretty amazing in how they can predict it. The only thing they couldn't predict in 2017 is whenever the clouds stalled over Mariposa.
I thought you were going to say lottery numbers.
And it wouldn't move. So anyway, I just want to commend these guys. I try not to be in a way. Jeremy always reminds me, just stand over here. I just need you for policy and policy only. I like to run into the fire, but he's like, nope, just stay right here. But I just got to say on behalf of CAL FIRE and what they're doing out there, it's pretty amazing. The technology is even more amazing of how they can predict and see what's going on. So thanks.
Thank you. And that also reminds me real quick, if you don't mind coming back up real quick, or actually, can't remember who, no, the target fire, when we ran those two command truck, what do you guys call those?
Command
Chevys?
vehicle.
Command vehicles. We're going to be doing a static display for 9/11. I want one of those command vehicles there. They ran out of the back of this pickup, the two Atwater pickup trucks for the fire. It's a sight to see. They have it logged in. They knew where every body inside Target was as they cleared the store from front to back when it had the fire, and it was completely smoke-filled. I was there. You couldn't see past the front doors once you got in there. And you guys were able to identify where everybody's at. You had people in the back of the building. You had Livingston, I think you had Merced County, and the mobile command that you guys ran was exactly what we expected to pay for, and we exceeded our expectations with that. And the citizens of Atwater are safer because of what you guys created. And Jeff, what he did out there at the fire repair facility with upfitting those trucks he's got a great future in customizing fire equipment, because that was awesome. That was a sight to see. And that program, I like to see brought in and dovetail with the PD with what they're doing, because it's important to know where everybody's at, but you guys had detail of every single unit, what trucks were there, how much each one pumped, and who was inside with the gas mask on and clearing the building. That was very impressive. So Atwater is state-of-the-art fire right now.
Absolutely, thank you. We're very fortunate. Those command vehicles are very nice, and they extremely nice to have on an incident such as that, because with the AVL and the accountability systems, having that backboard, you can draw it all out and get a plan of attack for fire attack and keep track of all your resources. And it's very crucial to be successful to have something like that.
That was money well spent, so I appreciate what you guys have done and the professionalism. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I don't see any. We'll close the public comment, bring it back to the council. Seeing none, thank you very much. Consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Looking for direction here, council?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond. Pause 1 moment.
I want
Viera?
to just pull item 6 for some explanation, please.
Can we please pull item 6? Anybody else want to pull any other items? Any members of the public? See none. Pull item 6. We have motion by Kale, second by Raymond.
Yeah, two.
As amended.
I'll amend my motion without number 6.
Okay. Call for the question.
Raymond,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 6. Viera?
Well, it's just my question. My question was.
So item 6, authorizing workers' compensation coverage for off-duty peace officers injured out of state. Go ahead.
Well, I just thought workers' compensation coverage is for on-duty. I didn't understand why it would be for off-duty.
City Manager Waterman, do you want to explain?
Actually, our HR Director, Gina Del Real, is here, and she can answer this question.
Great. Can you get her a microphone? Thank you, Gina.
Yes, that is correct. Generally, workers' comp coverage is when you sustain an injury while on duty. This coverage is something that's been added by our Risk Management Association that would cover peace officers that are off duty. If they are responding to an emergency, then it would cover them. So it kind of derived from the shootings in Las Vegas because that was out of state, and a lot of peace officers would respond. So this would cover them in an event that they did respond out of state.
Okay, so still a duty type injury or, okay.
Correct.
Just curious.
So to clarify that for simplicity, so I understand too, we don't have anybody claiming anything, but we're putting it in place so if we send a city employee to an emergency somewhere else, out of state, out of county, or out of whatever, they're covered with our workers' comp while on duty there?
So it's not for, we're sending them somewhere, it's like if they happen to be out of the area and
as
something
a-
happens.
So
they
as a
can
peace officer,
respond.
they were in, okay, I understand.
Correct, and in order for the RMA to cover them, the council would have to adopt a resolution authorizing that first.
Good deal, okay.
And the cities actually, or the county, or they're actually picking this up from businesses because we've had this years in businesses when you have people in other states going and still performing the duty as, per se, as a police officer.
So as an example, Gina, would be if we have a police officer on vacation and they were at one of these incidents that just happened in Boston or whatever, they take action, they're never off duty, they're always a police officer, so this is what we need to do, support you guys. So
Correct.
thank you for what you're doing out there. So that's a good thing. So we're looking for direction, council? Comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, bring it back to the dais.
I move to approve number 6.
Second.
Authorization of compensation coverage for off-duty police officers injured out of state.
Motion by Kale, second by Raymond.
Viera,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Public hearings, ordinance approving WB Farms LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program for cannabis cultivation, distribution, and dispensary on property located on Sycamore Avenue, west of Winton Way, Atwater.
Good evening,
Beretta?
Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we bring before you WB Farms. They're looking to become a micro business for cannabis on Sycamore, as stated before. Their first phase will be a dispensary, but they'll be working hard to open up the rest of the business in kind. Tonight, we have CEO of WB Farms, Byron Bogard, to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'll bring it up to the council here first before we open up public hearing. Any members of the council, any questions? Seeing none, members of the public, any comments, questions on this? Seeing none, we'll close. You have a public comment?
Yeah, I'm Byron Bogard. I just wanted to, again, say thank you to the staff
the chief. We've gone through some transition here, and everybody's been great, and we are looking forward to moving this forward and helping be a part of the positive progress here in the city. So
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Are we speaker cards on that? No? Okay. We'll close the public comment section, bring it back to council. Direction?
Mayor, if I may. Mayor, just quickly for the council and the public, something that is different about this development agreement is we did engage in negotiations with the group, with the applicants in order for the public benefit. It's a little different than our previous development agreements. One thing that the city looked at is what benefit is this applicant, this potential business going to be providing to the city in this case, and maybe Mark could also provide a little more information about this. However, in this case, they are building in an undeveloped area, which would be bringing, and their site improvements and whatnot would be bringing different improvements in that area that are needed. That's something that they'll go through the planning stage in order to get that area developed. That's something unique that this business is bringing, and that's why for the public benefit, it's a little different than past.
Can you elaborate on
development
the exact public benefit in addition
Absolutely.
to what they're normally doing? We're talking about utilities and road, and
Exactly.
they're going to build things that don't exist right now.
That's exactly right. So for the actual development agreement itself, the public benefit, which is the monetary aspect of the development agreement, it is a 5-year term, which is different than a 3-year term, which most of the previous DAs have. And also the monetary, the requirements are a little different, where in this case, for the first year, it's $15,000 per month or 5%, whichever is greater. Second year is $25,000 a month or 5%, whichever is greater. Third year is $28,000 a month or 5%, again, whichever is greater. Fourth year, $32,000 or 5%, whichever is greater. And the last year is $35,000 or the 5%, whichever is greater. Again, didn't deviate from the 5%. But did have a longer term, not just a 3-year term, and it's a little different structure. But again, that is to recognize the different improvements that going through the planning stage, this business will have to, or this applicant will have to construct other things out there that other applicants most likely will not. Just want to provide that detail.
Councilman Kale?
Do they own that land right now? Is it, they should own that land?
Yes, they own that land.
Okay, so, and this is at the end of Sycamore.
Can you come up to the podium, please? Thank you.
It's not the property at the end, the large parcel. It's right as you get off the freeway right there.
Next to the 76?
Right next to the 76, and then there's the little motel right there, and it's a 2.8 acre parcel right there.
Oh, it's not where the homeless are living.
No, the police did a great job in working with us, and we got them out of there.
Okay.
There was some
That was my
homeless.
next question.
And,
Okay.
it was right there as people got off the freeway,
Yeah.
and so we got rid of that. Cleaned it up, everything looks nice.
Okay, that's what I was. I saw the map, but I couldn't tell. Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions from the council? Direction?
Thank you.
There'll be 2 different motions here, Mayor.
Okay, so we're going to have 2 different motions, I'm being told. One motion would be regarding I'll let the city attorney explain this.
So just, if we could have in the staff report, it has number 2 and number 3. The first motion being making the findings that the project is exempt under California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA Guidelines 15061B3, accept the exemption under that section. And then your next motion, if the council would like to make it, would be the waiving of the first reading and introducing ordinance number CS 1011.
Okay.
I'll motion to make the finding that the project is exempt under California Environmental Quality Act Guideline 1561B3 Common Sense Exemption.
I'll second.
Motion by Raymond, second by Ambrose.
Kale?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Viera?
Yes.
Creighton?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Direction on next motion?
I'll make a motion to waive the first reading and introduce ordinance number CS 1011, approving a development agreement in a form approved by the interim city attorney. Do you want me to read the whole thing?
I'll second.
Motion by Viera, second by Kale.
Viera,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 14, ordinance approving Cannibal LLC development agreement. Cannibal LLC development agreement regarding cannabis business pilot program for cannabis dispensary on property located at 741 Enterprise Court, Atwater. Peretta?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, we're asking for a continuance on this particular item since we're still in the process of negotiations with Cannibal.
Thank you. So we're going to open the public hearing at this time regarding Cannibal LLC. Take any input from the public. So members of the public, if you'd like to comment on this item 14, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais.
Can I just ask a general question about cannabis just in general?
Sure. The question was, could she ask a general question? So this, let me bring it back to the dais and I can call you back up on that. That way we don't get off track on this.
We're slow.
That's okay. We want to hear what you have to say. So, call for the question?
So we don't want to close the public hearing.
We want to
Have to
continue.
continue.
Yeah, so we're not doing any direction, right, my bad. So, we're going to continue this to August 26th, but we're going to take the public testimony, seeing there's none. We want, we'll just take this under this item. You can ask this question, come up.
And maybe in regards to the attorney, for these folks that are in these contracts, what happens, because it's a startup business, regardless of what the industry is, what happens if they don't make that revenue? Do they have an opt-out? Is there any penalty for them not paying that monthly fee that you're requiring of them?
No, that's a great question. The development agreement would cover a lot of those questions and also the conditions of approval. But for some reason, one, if they can't even start up within a certain period of time, then their permit goes away, the ability to operate here. Secondly, if they're operating and they just can't make that money, that would be a breach of the agreement if they can't pay that specific amount. That would be a breach of the development agreement. The development agreement would then result in going through a process in order to revoke the permit, since they would be in violation of the agreement. So the permit goes away and they would have to close up their business here.
So then it's just lost revenue for the city, proposed.
So the question was, if they don't fulfill the obligations of the development agreement the city introduced into with these operations, then the city starts a process to shut the business down and the business has to cease operations.
I guess what I'm saying is, do we have contracts to protect us as a city?
The development agreements do that.
Absolutely.
Do you want to let him
Can I
talk?
just add, we're also personally liable.
Can you come up to the podium?
Yeah, we're also personally liable.
Hold your thought.
It is a great question. My name, again, is Byron Bogard, and I also own a dispensary in Stanislaus County in Crow's Landing, Highway 33. And here in this development agreement, it's very extensive, and you can read it. And we are held liable, the property, they can take the property, they can come after me personally, come after my assets. So the city has a great agreement. And I really look at it, and the city manager, Lori, who I've worked with for a while, knows my attitude on this, is we are partners with the city. I look at the city here as a business partner in this new business and new industry. And I look forward to the partnership. You know, with the kids earlier, with the baseball, I have a 10-year-old son, and so it's exciting, and there are a lot of questions, and I'm always available, whether it's to city staff, or just people in the community that are concerned or have questions. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to continue this to the August 26th. We're going to close public comment. Or continue, okay, scratch all that. Rewind, erase that. We're going to continue public comment to the 26th. Need a motion from the council.
I move that we continue this till 26.
I'll second.
Motion Kale, second Viera, to continue to the 26th.
Kale,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Creighton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Reports and presentation from staff. Item number 15, approving conceptual plan to develop a new civic center complex, City Hall / Police Station, Project Manager, Chief Salvador.
Thank you, council, members of the public. Mike Salvador, your police chief. I want to thank the council for the consent calendar items. With your action tonight, you took 1/3 of the strategic plan of the police departments and made it a reality. So I want to thank you for that. Tonight is the biggest night in the police department's history for the last 50 years, and I'm going to tell you why. This item is the first start in a journey that we're going to take together as a community. Police department, city staff, fire department.
I'm gonna call for a recess real quick because the people at home can't see what you're doing, and I don't want to be redundant. So we're gonna have the cameras readjusted so that if anybody's watching right now, we don't have to go back through this and try to refeed it. We want to live stream this as he's talking about it. So we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. That's okay. It's a moving part. No stress.
Are we good?
He was able to cut into it?
He's already had it on.
Oh, I thought we couldn't do that.
He's good.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a 5-minute break anyway. Okay. Use the restrooms, let you catch your breath, and it's important we get this right. Okay. I could do that again, Janelle. Ask Councilman Vieira. Okay, let me know when you're ready. Okay. All right, Chief, item 15, approving conceptual plan to develop a new civic center complex, City Hall / police station, project manager, Chief Salvador.
Okay, back to where I was. Tonight is probably the most important night for the police department in the last 50 years. And I've got a short, well, it's not a short slide presentation, but a presentation to kind of outline where we are, where we need to be, how we're going to get there. The current City Hall was constructed when I was 3 years old. Yes, when I was 3 years old. The city of Atwater was 12,000 in population. The police department was about 12 guys. It was part of a larger plan to make a civic center on this property. That plan was never completed. Basically what was built was about 12,000 square feet, in which the current police department headquarters and city hall and this council chamber occupy. Over the years, they've tried to help out with extra space. In the back, you have a, for lack of a better term, a portable classroom that is used as a conference room. And the community development department is in about 4,000 square feet of portable classroom that are all at the end of service life. The total square footage under roof is about 17,000 square feet. The City Hall houses the Departments of Administration, Police, the 911 Communications Center, Finance, City Hall, and Human Resources, the council chambers, and General Services. A project like this doesn't happen overnight, but it's got to have specific goals. They are to provide a modern, efficient work environment, to improve the customer service piece, improve employee security, control maintenance costs, which we'll go into here in a little bit, and rectify issues that are currently present in the current building. Again, this building was built in the 60s. Of course, its strength is it was built in the 60s, and we're still occupying it. So the longevity has been there. The city has gotten its money's worth. But it's got several critical flaws that need to be addressed. It's at the end of its life. Its size, it is too small to house the police department and City Hall in the same building. My investigations unit works out of Station 2 out at Buhack Colony High School. Not a good way to run a police department. The air conditioning system on a good day works poorly. On a bad day, doesn't work at all. The patrol room, I've had temperatures over 85 degrees in the patrol room. At the back end where my office is, I've had the air conditioning company out 3 times in the last 6 weeks on service calls. That system is at end of service life. Replacement costs for that system for this building are over $500,000 just for the equipment alone, not for its installation. And in a building with a 55-year-old roof, trying to install a brand new air conditioning system could be an issue. There are other maintenance issues with this building. We have exposed wiring, as you can see in the picture on the bottom left-hand corner, that run throughout the police department side of the building and run through several areas inside City Hall. We have duct tape on the floors holding the floor together so we don't have trip hazards in the police department. There's corners, there is security issues. We've estimated that the amount of money needed to upgrade this building to modern standards is over $5 million, which makes it really not a good solution to put $5 million in a 50-year-old building. Oh, it's the wrong way. Another facility weakness is the need for the temporary structures that I've talked about. It cannot house all the police department's personnel. Its 911 center is grossly under-equipped and not a good place. We just talked about the emergency plan. In the event of an emergency and a loss of power, if the generator don't run, the 911 center does not operate at all. There is no uninterruptible power supply for the building to keep the systems up until I could get a service person out to fix the generator. This building has been cited in at least 3 grand jury reports that I've personally read over the last 10 years that basically tell us the same thing I'm telling you as a community. And it was cited in the DOJ report on the evidence room as being inadequate, unsecure, and very costly to bring up to current standards. Oops, going a little slow. We have several new technologies that need to be implemented into a public safety building. We're preparing for a 911 upgrade. And that 911 upgrade will do things like text to 911, social media to 911, new mapping systems. We spoke in the emergency operations presentation about AVL and to be able to mark our units in the field. We don't have that capability now. I've had it every other place I've worked for the last 20 years. This building will not handle the data infrastructure necessary to make that fly. The cooling system, especially inside the computer rooms where the servers are located, will not keep the rooms cool, and we are throwing money down the drain trying to keep systems operating. We're also responding to our community's wish for better customer service and DOJ and grand jury audits that point to our evidence room and the need to do something. So, we all know the financial situation of the city. It's no secret, but just like having kids, there's never a good time to have kids. There's never a good time for me to bring this project up. I fully expect to be challenged on its cost. I fully expect to have to defend the project. There's never a good time to do this. I did this 5 years ago in the county of Madera, and I got the same arguments. County doesn't have any money. What the hell are you doing? But the need is there. It was there in Madera. The need is here in Atwater. What the city has is it has the available property necessary to make the project go. You're sitting on it. This site, 750 Bellevue, has 2 parcels on it. One 2.9 acres, in which this building sits, and one 26.2 acres, which if you walk out this door, walk to the trailer, or walk behind the building, you'll see. That is a very valuable asset for a project like this and the ability to get a project like this done. One of the most expensive pieces of a capital project as this is land acquisition. We have it. We also have the utility infrastructure on the property to make this go. Now, I've done a project like this. I know what it takes. I've managed this project, or one like it, and it requires support from a lot of different people. First thing it requires is the support of you, the general public. It also requires the support of consultants and building contractors and people with specialized abilities in things like lease-back financing for the purposes of getting this project done without the need of bonds or special tax measures. And those are some of the innovative financing solutions that are going to be needed to get this done. I've worked with those types of financing. They are very good to the cash flow of the city. It requires me to be the chief and manage budgets and make sure that we bring these projects in at cost and on budget. So what does this look like? This looks like the picture that you saw. That's my project. That's 27,500 square feet. And if you drive through the city of Madera and you look west off of Highway 99 between Avenue 17 and Kennedy, you'll see the big brown and green building there. That's the Madera County Sheriff's Office. I was under sheriff when we put this together. You see a basic floor plan there. I have all the documents from this project. I kept them. I didn't know I'd need them again, but oh well, here I am in Atwater and we need some help. So guess what? I got the documents. I worked through the contracting process. We worked through the lease-back process. I worked with the electeds to get this project done. They've been in the building 4 years, and they were able to budget within their budget to make the payments. A new facility here in Atwater that size would be available to house the police department's headquarters, the administration of the city, the finance department, the HR department, the community development department, my partner here, Vernus's administration piece, and my partner, Chief Slade's fire administration piece. It would become a one-stop shop for anybody trying to do business with the city of Atwater. Customer service. Here's a couple of other examples of projects that I knew about, played with, was involved in, one way, shape, or another. The one on your left, if you're looking at the screens, is the Madera Police Department. The one on your right is the Huron Police Department. These have all been built within the last 10 to 15 years. Huron, they occupied it last fall. So what does it take to get a project like this done? The first thing it takes is for you, the council, to give me the go-ahead to start the process. The process looks something like that. It looks like a formation of a project team. That's your department heads, the city manager, the city attorney, us getting together and doing a basic needs assessment. It requires us to formulate an action plan and a timeline, very similar to the strategic plan that I put together for you in April. It's going to require a lot of RFPs. It just happens. That's just the way government works. We have reached out to different public financing corporations. We have one interested in the city of Atwater as we speak on the lease-back funding formula, where they take all the risk, we lease them a piece of property, they build a building, they lease it back to us. That has a lot of benefits to it. One, cash flow wise and budgetary wise, it gives us a fixed number that would allow us to properly budget for the capital outlay over a 25 to 30 year period. Two, it takes care of the maintenance costs because we don't own the building. We're a tenant. The landlord owns the building, and the landlord is responsible for the maintenance and the fixing of problems within the building. It's all contractual. And depending on how the lease-back or similar type of financing process works, the city can have opt-in and opt-out clauses throughout the contractual period where it will allow them, let's just say, we come upon some revenue and we want to buy the building out after 11 years or 12 years. We can do that without penalty, without prepayment penalty. Very similar to the mortgage on your house. We can't call it a mortgage because governments can't get mortgages. But you can have essentially a mortgage. I expect if everything works really, really well and we're off to a good start and we can use some of the pre-stuff that I've personally done in other jurisdictions to help jumpstart this project, we could have a design completion date somewhere in the second quarter of next year with a construction start date about 11 to 12 months from now. Construction on my 27,000 square foot project in Madera took 10 months from groundbreaking to the time we moved in. That gets us out to 2021. So if you guys remember my strategic plan, I said about an 18-month time frame. It's doable. Where payments would then begin if the lease-leaseback financing option was the option that we decided to take. Payments would start in the 22 fiscal year. So that's the goal. That's the plan. We can do this. Let's get this done. And let's put together a facility that this city can be proud of, that is functionally well-purposed for the tasks at hand. It allows for increased coordination, better customer service. In the event of an emergency, I can give you the services that you need when you need them. And I'm available for any questions if the council has them.
I think I'll open it up to public comment first and then bring it back to the dais. Do you have any speaker cards on the item? Any members of the public like to come forward? On this specific topic, yes.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Chief. Brad Kessler, 301 Business Parkway. So on this new project you're proposing, as from an outsider looking in, it appears that everybody's finally coming to realization that things are a little dated. It does seem like a pretty progressive and pretty punctual timeline you have there. Obviously, it sounds like you have some past history in this. Moving forward in design and council approval, you think you can 100% handle the ramifications of this size of project and maintaining, you know, the normal police department?
Yes, I do. When we did this project in Madera, those were the same types of questions. How does this affect the PD? How does this affect our ability to provide service? I think being in this position already affects the efficiency and the ability of the police department to provide service. Right now, a lot of people in the community kind of look at the police department as being understaffed, and they want more cops on the street. But I'm telling the community right now, I can't even entertain that notion until they have things to drive, thank you, and a place to work. I'd be more than happy to take each and every one of you through the police department, and then you walk out of that place and go, you guys work in that? Brad, you've been in it. Yes. Is this ambitious? Absolutely. Do some of you in this audience think I'm crazy? Maybe. But it's time. To do the amount of work that is necessary to make this building functional, we're halfway there on the money piece. So I'm gonna advocate for every single city employee that works in this building. I've only been here 6 months. Yes, we can make this happen. I'm fully confident of my staff's ability to take care of business after they have an efficient place to do the job, because they're good.
Okay, another question I have too is, on a facility this size, obviously we grew out of this facility over the years. Are we planning on making the facility large enough to possibly, have an external building or a building attached to it for fire? Some kind of maybe on-site command center, is that all that in the plan?
Yes, that would all have to be in the plan, because you don't do a project like this and leave those things out. That's why you have to have a development team. That's why you have to have the department heads all together and on board with this. When I first talked about this, I talked about it as just a police station. But in the 3 months since then, it's not just a police station anymore. It is a public government, civic center project. It has to be. Because just because the police department needs a new building doesn't mean that the fire command people that are working out of a fire station that is 30 years old, you're a developer. How many places do you have to go to get the job done? Why not go to one?
And that was my other question too. You're gonna have enough room in this new facility for staff, for, making your normal payments and.
Yes, yeah. I kind of envision it, the vision is very similar to if you've been to the Madera County Government Center. You don't have to leave the building to get the job done. With the one exception, which is sheriff. And sheriff is out at Falcon Drive. But we're large enough to do a one-stop shop. We have the land to do a one-stop shop. The one-stop shop is my professional opinion, is the way to go. Make sure you have plenty of public contact space for police, fire, public works, development, where our cannabis guys left, but where the cannabis guy can walk in, go see development, go 2 steps over, see the PD, go 2 steps over, see fire, go 2 steps over, see finance, pay all their bills, in, out, done, one stop, and it makes life easier. This city has really challenged me to improve customer service. I can't do it in this building.
And one more question if I can.
Sure.
It sounds like you're gonna make it all happen for free, so I want to
No,
figure this
it's
out.
not gonna be free.
But it sounds to me like you do have a plan here to get some kind of external financing so that
Yes.
city does not actually have to pay for it, which in turn, I guess, is there at least, it sounds like you kind of covered it, but at least to own option here.
Yes.
Is there gonna be deferred payments during construction?
So how?
Obviously,
how-
things that
Yeah,
need to be
no,
talked
how we
about,
did it in
but-
Madera was a financing piece called lease back. The county owned the property that we put the sheriff's office on. We sold the property to a development corporation. They built the building to suit. Then leased the building and the property back to the county. The development corporation had all the financing and all the funding, the construction financing and all that was their responsibility. We just did the development work to make sure that the building came to our specifications. Then the attorneys get involved.
Okay,
and
we're gonna pause there. I think your time's expired, sir.
Copy that.
I can discuss it in greater detail.
Please.
of all, my question
Please
would
state
be-
your name.
Lori Johnson.
Thank you.
Chief Salvador.
Yes,
So you guys are throwing away a lot of money on the air conditioning, getting it fixed. Are you going to be able to find somebody that can actually do the work? Because if you're throwing away money and getting it fixed again and again, it seems to be a problem. Like you need new contractors, which I
Yes.
know a few people who know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, and I don't hear they have these problems, and I know them personally.
Well, and that goes to the heart of why I'm proposing it and why I'm proposing it now.
Exactly.
It truly is, this building truly is a maintenance nightmare.
But the $5 million price tag that you're
Well,
proposing
when
is.
we cracked the roof of this building,
Is-
that was built in the
Okay.
60s, and the asbestos.
We all have
that's-
something to do with real estate. A lot of you guys have something to do with real estate. You guys know contractors, you guys know that people overbid, that when it comes to a city, I'm just trying to look out for the best interest of our city, that we're not getting price gouged.
No, and I 100% agree with you.
So I just want to real quick, don't go anywhere. Since we let the previous speaker go long and we did the back and forth, which we normally don't do, but this is a very important thing to the city. So,
I
we'll
usually
restate your
don't.
time.
I
No,
know that we
you know,
usually
you're
don't.
fine, you're not doing anything wrong. I just want to let you know that you have the same opportunity he had, so don't feel rushed. We're going to let you finish your thoughts and continue on. But this isn't normal, but it's very important that we have this kind of dialogue for this topic.
Yes.
So go ahead.
The issues with more expense, this building in particular, this building was built in the 60s. The building codes in the 60s allowed for the use of asbestos inside the walls of the building. So if we start cracking walls here to fix things like air conditioning and roof structures and stuff like that, that's where the price of construction, and Brad will be able to tell you, go through the roof.
So you do the asbestos cleanup first,
Yeah.
and then,
And that's hugely expensive.
yeah, it is very expensive. I know, I've had it done at my house.
Sure.
But there are contractors who aren't gonna price gouge, because that seems like a lot, because the city already owns the property, and then we're gonna have a mortgage. The city wants to go out of debt, and it seems like it's gonna push us back further. Like, they already own their home, they're gonna go from homeowners to renters, or lessees. And that doesn't sound like it's very good for the city of Atwater to me.
Well, I know I'm going to be defending this project for quite some time, and I understand your issue. Unfortunately,
Just wait one more second.
if we don't do something,
I have a thought. Move Public Works into the building too and sell the property that they're at, and that would help compensate for some of the money.
Public
I think
Works-
we're gonna end it right there.
Okay, thank you.
Those were some great thoughts, and I think before you go, you need to touch on anything we do, whether we remodel and spend millions of dollars here, improving it and doing the grand jury report expansion and upgrading, we have to follow the public bid process too. So we can't pick and choose, it has to be a bid process. So that process will always be there so we do get the best price. So what you're saying is we practice those.
and it would be very, very similar in cost.
Okay, so they're not gonna be, this is another thought, because I know there's been projects in Atwater that have been started, and then the people stopped, and then we pay them again. They already made part of the money for the project that they stopped, and then we pay them for that part again.
So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to give potentially either no direction or direction to move with the conceptual plan. The financing elements and those things will come back separate in the future time.
Yes.
So the council has to make a decision tonight whether they want to stay with what they have or move in a different direction, and what that'll look like, we don't know yet until they decide what they want to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Any other members of the public? Seeing two more. I have one gentleman heading up, then you can go right after him.
Rich Miller.
We're
Sorry, go ahead.
We're going to go back to the 3 minutes.
That's
I didn't want, she was waiting, and I didn't want to be disrespectful because we let the first gentleman go.
Not a
long.
problem, not a problem, Mr. Mayor. Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive here in Atwater, also pastor Victory Baptist Church, 1280 Sierra Vista Street. I actually understand the need completely. I have been in the police department before you were the chief of police. Praise the Lord, it wasn't being arrested, just walking through, for the record. And I actually support it 100%. Here's the thing that I want to say as a constituent is my interaction with you over the last 6 months, I have built trust in you. I trust you. And a lot of times when I don't know a person, I don't know their field, and I build a relationship with them, and I say, hey, I don't really know much about that. That's not my expertise. I rely on my trust. And so one of the things I think the city council needs to consider as we go forward is exactly what Ms. Johnson was saying, which is there's been a lot of bad PR in Atwater over the years. So we have to get out ahead of it if that's what the city council decides to do, and make sure that people aren't just hearing off to the side, oh, now we're spending more money, because that's what people hear. And I've tried to be an advocate of our city council and telling people who don't come to these meetings, hey, these guys are working together, and we are going in the right direction. But I just think that's something that we do want to consider, or the city council wants to consider, that I'm behind it. I'm behind this man. I believe in him, just from the time we spent together, which isn't that much. But there is a big PR, problem there that we have to consider. And whether that's putting it on the city website, getting the plan out there, because there's a lot of people that don't come here and they didn't just hear that presentation. So I just wanted to bring that up. All right.
Thank you. Ma'am? Oh, you had not on this topic? Okay, we're still on this topic. Any other members of the public that come forward at this time on this item 15? Seeing none, we're going to close the public comment, bring it back up to the dais for discussion. Viera?
Well, so we need to talk numbers because obviously there's both sides to, we own, do we want to go back to renting? Work in the mortgage industry, so I get that as well. So sometimes, yes, it is time to upgrade and move out of the house that we own into a bigger house that fits our family. Maybe when we owned our house, we had no children, and now we have 6. But we still have to live within our means. Well, I have 7, so I get it, okay? I had 7. But we still have to make sure that we can do this and live within our means. So before we decide are we going to go drive a new Camry, or we're going to drive a new Range Rover? What can we afford? That makes the big difference right there. Can we even afford the lease back? I mean, it looks good, the need is there, but
No,
it has to be, the payments still have to be something we cannot write checks that aren't going to clear. We still have to make sure it's there.
I 100% agree with you, Councilman Vieira. But then we have the chicken and the egg argument, right? I can tell you what I think it's going to cost you because I've done it before. But until we do the actual analysis work necessary to give you your answer, all I'm doing is throwing darts on a dartboard.
What is it going to, what do we need to do, what do we need to spend to get us to the point where we know what it's going to cost to see if we can afford to purchase?
I need unfortunately, your rules and regulations do not allow me to answer that question for you right now. That's what this item's all about. I'm asking for permission to do the background work necessary to get this off the ground.
And then the analysis will come back to the council at a
Yes.
later date. This is just whether or not this is something the council wants staff to look into further as an option, and then bringing those options back to the council.
So right now, it's just something we're doing internally. We're not hiring someone out. So
Not yet.
what is at this point, to just say, okay, this is an idea we want to look at so that we can say that we visited every option. The option of renovating what we had versus the option of going new. We're going to look at all the properties out there. What is the financial,
So I think to answer that question, you have your staff is engaged right now. You have the city attorney, city manager, police chief, building official, a financial expert to help guide these guys. So you already have those costs already incurred day to day. They're gonna take it to the level to bring us back, what I understand, chief, that this is a permission to go with a conceptual idea to bring back potential costs. Is it 20,000? Is it 26,000? Because we don't know what we want or need, because like you said, you have 6 kids, but maybe we got 10. So as we try to plan for the future so that we don't do this and have to redo it again in 5 or 10 years, but you don't want to do it, you don't have to touch it for 100 years. We don't need a building that big. So we need it just big enough to grow into, but not too big to be wasteful and spending money where we don't need. So what I understand of what I read on the staff report was this is a global approval to move forward with a conceptual idea. Any funding is to come back to the council on whether it's feasible. The city manager's gonna have to decide whether we can push forward with this, and the professional teams determined that there is financing, there is a way to do it, or do we just keep adding on to what we have here? They're gonna come back with, you can elaborate on this, chief.
Yeah, this could go a couple of different ways, right? As Ms. Johnson ably put out here, right? We could fix all the systems, and that price tag is estimated to be $3 to $5 million. Or we do a building all-encompassing, because we want to fix issues like ADA in this building and those things, because the minute we start cracking walls, especially at the police department, we start cracking walls at the police department, Title 15 rears its ugly head. And the standards immediately switch, and I'm spending that money anyway. Because this was built when there were no standards.
So to piggyback on his comment, what I've asked staff to do is, we can't afford, I think Ms. Johnson said it perfectly, that if we have to go eat $2.5 million tomorrow to get the grand jury off our back, to get the ADA requirements, just in a PD, we're not talking ADA in here at all, we write that check. Nobody's gonna help fund it for us or anything else. We don't have that money to do. So we do that over there, then we bring the general services building, which is over here. It's a modular that we brought in from our wastewater treatment plant that we built 16 years ago. Temporary building that we've housed engineering, planning, and building in for over 10 years, that's physically separating at the seam right now. The roof's leaking, carpet's pulling up. We're gonna have to add the next wing to City Hall on over here, so there's millions of dollars for that. There's other issues we have here, so staff needs to bring back to us, do the fix, which is gonna cost a lot because it triggers other things. And we gotta write those checks as they come. We write the whole check. Or can we be creative, look down the future, and also get what the people of Atwater want, what they're, it's all of our house and all of our future, what we're trying to do. So it's easier to move in the direction of something that will encompass everything with a fixed payment knowns. When you have unknowns, your finances go in the toilet. When you have fixed costs, you can project things over years. We have things coming in, and we're not going to be projecting like the city's going to be rich, but $700,000 or $500,000 a year payment is a lot better than $2 million lump sum to put a Band-Aid on a PD. Councilman Raymond.
I don't like to frivolously spend money like we've done so often around here. But I also like options. And having been in City Hall for the past 5 years, there's mold issues, there's trip hazards, there's asbestos. I mean, so many different, this place is a hazard. I mean, I gotta pray every time I come in here the ceiling doesn't collapse. And it's funny, but it's also halfway true. But I think if we don't move forward with looking at the possibilities, I know Supervisor McDaniel said, there's USDA facilities grant, and USDA, with the order, dealing with the president, up the population to 50,000 people. We're under 50,000 threshold, which qualifies us potentially for monies there through USDA.
Which didn't you meet in DC and talk about that already? You've already done it.
We have, yes. We've talked about that. We've talked with FEMA. And FEMA's also, if we incorporate the fire department, they also will throw in monies potentially as kind of an OES type deal as well. I mean, so there's options, and if we don't at least look at it, we'll never know. So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to go with the best deal, but if we don't look,
Me too.
we're not going to find it out.
Kale, Chief, can you hold on a second?
Yeah.
I guess I have one question, Chief.
Yes, sir.
You said that you were going to develop a team, and I'm not sure, well, I can guess, but I'd like to hear who's going to be on that team that you're going to use. I mean,
Well, there's a couple of different teams when you develop a project like this. This one, if this is an all-encompassing city project, Bernice is on my team. John's on my team.
Hey, Chief. Supervisor McDaniel loves committees. He might be on it.
If he's willing to help me with some county money, absolutely. But the department heads, Lori, Mark, that's a team. And then within the departments, like my department, I'm going to mobilize a team for my department because we have a communication center that needs to be planned. That takes expertise. Yes, I'm good, but I'm not that good. I have FTOs in the room. I've got sergeants in the room. They all will have input on the layout of the police department side of the deal. The DOJ report absolutely is a driving factor of this. We're going to take the recommendations from the DOJ report and make sure it's designed in the building. The grand jury 3 times over, those recommendations have to be considered. That's why, yes, you saw the timeline.
Excuse me, Chief. Can you elaborate on what the grand jury has said a little bit, just for people that may not know?
Sure. I'll be writing our response to the current grand jury report that basically states that the building is not functional as a police station. It's too small. The evidence room is not adequately equipped to handle evidence. Basically a mirror image of the DOJ report that I released in May.
So that was a finding that the grand jury made when
That's a
they came
finding.
and did the evaluation that we have to
Yes.
address and.
So, I realized that in my strategic plan, I had an intermediate project for this building. But if this measure goes tonight, there's no use spending that money. Let's focus whatever resources we have to doing the final strategic. If we're gonna fix this, guys, fix it right. We'll be money ahead. And we can, there's gonna be lots of opportunities for you as council to have input. There's gonna be lots of opportunities for the members of this community to have input. I hope that I've garnered enough trust with this community that they can come and give me their input anytime, any place, anywhere. I understand the amount of money and I understand the fear factor. I get it. This isn't gonna be cheap. But if we invest in our future, then the dividends down the road to not so much me, maybe these guys in here, but that 22-year-old police officer that we're gonna hire and we're gonna try to attract here to come work here, where they work is just as important as how they work. And this is a signal to those people that we're back on the map. And we're a place that wants to care about how they work, when they work, where they work, what they work in. And that's always been my mission, ever since I decided to take the job here, was to make sure that the citizens of this community can be proud of their police department and make sure that they are the most efficient, well-trained, economically equipped police department in the state of California. And I'll go to my grave trying to fight for that all day long.
Okay, so council, what's our pleasure? So, Chief, restate what what you're asking for here.
I'm asking that the city council vote tonight to provide staff with the direction to proceed with the development of a civic center complex project for a new city hall and police station.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kale.
Second.
Second by Raymond. Call for the question.
Raymond,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Creighton,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Great job, Chief. Look
I
forward-
want to take this opportunity real quick before you move on, Mr. Mayor, to thank each and every one of you for the support that you've given me these 6 months. I also want to thank the community for the support that you've given me over these 6 months. You won't be sorry.
Thank you for coming here. Thanks for joining the team. You too, Vernus. Report for the mayor and city manager, verbal update on Atwater homeless plan. So I wanted to update the community on what's going on with the vagrants and some homeless, the homeless that we can re-shelter. We are actively engaging with them. We are actively engaging with the people that need help and want help. The new code enforcement officer, Danny, has reached out to the railroad. I've had meetings with Assemblyman Adam Gray, met with California Highway Patrol, Department of Transportation, Caltrans, city manager, our police chief, our public works director, and we're doing something in Atwater that hasn't ever been done to deal with this problem. It's a new, modern problem. I think it existed back in the 70s on a smaller scale, but this modern homelessness issue, vagrancy, and criminal behavior that's going on, it's taken a different approach. And I'm not a homeless guru at all. I've been challenged by some of my other colleagues, other mayors. What are we doing? I don't know the best approach, but I'm going to give it my approach, what I think's the best from what I know and is what the council knows, that reaching out with the members of the council, we don't want a crime-infested vagrancy every corner you go, somebody on the sidewalks. If somebody needs help, we're a small community. We have approximately 16 keep calling him Senator, Assemblyman Gray, and I sat down. We have 16, and went across the homeless counts. We've identified the camps, the chief, the city manager, the public works director, and I went out to all the camps. The problem's not solvable. There's no ultimate solution at our level. There's a manageable plan that we have in place, and we're going to treat this as a human aspect instead of a global issue, homeless, not in my backyard. There's some people that are homeless people from Atwater. There's a majority that are being imported from outside of our city, Santa Cruz, San Mateo, Lodi, and a couple other communities, Winton. But they're still humans. We treat our pets better than we treat most humans. And there's better laws on the books for these humans. And I can't solve the state issue. I've come to the other council members, asked them, what do we do? And we all agree that no one of us can solve this, but together and collaboratively, we can do things. So they don't want to see it anymore. So we've reached out, like I said, to Caltrans, Highway Patrol, railroad, county. So what we're going to start doing, we're not going to play the pushing game anymore. We've failed miserably at that. I've ignored it, push them over here, they push them back on us. They close this camp, we close that camp. They head to Merced, then they build that up, then they push them back this way. So we're communicating now with Caltrans. Whenever we see somebody on Caltrans property, the Highway Patrol has a right to evict them off Caltrans property. There's a procedure Caltrans has to do. The new modern way to evict somebody off private property and the Caltrans and government property is it's a notification. It takes weeks and weeks. The reason it takes weeks is because now they have to send an environmental specialist out to an encampment because some of these encampments, they're using infected syringes to defend themselves. So a weak individual that's hiding underneath the off-ramp puts up these infected needles around so the other homeless or bums don't attack them and beat them up. So if we go to try to clean that up, our guys can be infected with a dirty needle or something just because these people are trying to protect themselves. So the Caltrans will send out an environmental company to identify and assess the area, remove the hazardous material, Highway Patrol will evict them out, and then Caltrans cleans it up. We're gonna be adopting those same things here so that we don't get our public works staff or our other city staff harmed, because everybody comes to work, want to go home. We're all working here as a job, and we want to keep the city clean and safe. So we're learning a lot by collaborating. Instead of just pointing fingers, which I did, I pointed some fingers at Caltrans and accused them of not doing some things. And I got a quick response, which I'm very grateful for. I don't know how to solve this, and we as a body, we can't house people in here. We're not set up to do that. The county's at its wit's end. They're maxed out. The city of Merced's maxed out. Los Banos is maxed out, but we're going to start doing things ourselves to try to make it better. So as we identify these things, if the things they're doing are criminal because they're on usually private property or public property, we're going to start the procedure to relocate them, find them assistance. If they don't want assistance, they're just vagrants and criminals. So that aspect, that's the part we can't solve, because things are becoming, felonies are becoming misdemeanors, and they're not putting them in jail for these things. So our goal is to make those people uncomfortable and unwelcome here, to let them know they can't do what they're doing constantly. And that's going to be our strategy, along with communicating with the county, communicating with the city of Merced, communicating with the city of Los Banos, communicating with everybody we can, so that when we clean up something big, they know, hey, this is what Atwater just did. Or we want to know what Merced's doing before Merced does something, and they send them this way, because they'll move. So staff's working currently on a plan to continually identify these people that need help. If there's any veterans out there that are homeless, please call me directly or call City Hall. We have resources, we have beds, we have work we can put you to. There's no reason any veteran in Merced County should ever be out on the streets, ever. I mean, County Supervisor McDaniel's here tonight. He works diligently. He's worked with senators and congressmen before, and we have modeled that plan, and we have the resources to take care of our veterans. But I also want to take care of those that are down and out on their luck and treat them like they could be our brothers or sisters. So do the human factor, treat them better than they've been treated, but also let them know if they want to do that professionally, live on the streets, not here. But we're getting assistance. We're reaching out to, so we had a meeting with Caltrans, then I met with the assembly member privately at his office to try to get some relief from the state of California, from the governor. I've included Danny Ambrose on this stuff that we're doing. He and I have talked about it, and the governor's office wants the city to get in compliance with our housing element before we could be eligible for funding, and you can't enforce certain laws on our books until we have our housing element, which means affordable housing, places to put transitional people, and things like this. So it's really important, and I'm probably going on too long, but I've just learned all this stuff, and it's important that we comply with everything so that at the end of the day, when we are done, when this council's done with this homeless program, we're never going to be done, but when we're done with the housing element, we're going to be able to do a little better enforcement, and we're going to be able to get people off the streets ultimately and treat them more humane. And then we had, after that meeting with the assemblyman, we met with the county CEO, the director of public health, the director of the building, and there's numerous agencies in the county. We met with all of them, the city of Merced, city of Los Banos, Dos Palos, Gustine, Atwater, and Livingston, and county supervisors were at this meeting. For the first time, Merced County had a complete roundtable of all the jurisdictions being represented, talking about the same topic. Because what we do here could impact somebody in Los Banos, or they could do something there and impact us here. Or maybe they have a great idea, which actually they do have some good ideas. We're going to steal some of their ideas. But it's about working as a team so that we globally solve or manage this problem better than we currently are, and do it with a human factor. So instead of treating them like a piece of equipment out there, it's somebody's brother or sister, and we need to treat them right. But they also, if they're going to be criminals, we'll deal with them that way. So just wanted to make sure you guys knew what we were doing. We're not doing anything. I think Supervisor McDaniel has an issue behind his house we've been working on, and that's been going on for 6 or 7 months. They come and go, and they move quickly, so we're trying to address everybody's situation. It is a private property trespassing issue that our chief's working on, our public works director's working on, And we just removed a campment on Santa Fe, or SP, almost 50 tons of debris from 2.5, one part-time guy and 2 full-time homeless guys. That's a lot of tonnage. And it's not anything other than a mental health issue that every day they just gather, and it's a lot, and it's dangerous for them, and it's dangerous for us. Yeah, but that's pretty much the update, what we're doing. We're almost in compliance with our housing element, so that we'll have some funds open up. Assemblyman and Gray and the county are working on a $30 million transitional housing facility. We'll be able to process these individuals, try to get them cleaned up before they get sent back out. Ultimately, it's going to fall on the governor of the state of California to address this problem and find the funding necessary to deal with it on a permanent basis. But just wanted to give you guys the update on that. Okay. On this item, please come to the podium. We'll open the public comment up.
My name is Lucy Gardado and Greg Gardado. We live on 1873 Bell Lane. It took us almost 4 years to get 8 homeless people out of there. So our lot next door is empty. We have a lot of lots down in that area behind Tractor Supply. We have I think it's Starbucks. All the homeless are sleeping inside the bins right now, the garbage bins. They go to McDonald's and take a bath in their warm water. And then you got feces, poo-poo everywhere. We've already talked to the inspector. One of the inspectors went out there. I don't mind making them burritos, don't get me wrong. If they're hungry, I'm going to give them something to eat. If they need a pair of tennis shoes, of course I'm going to ask my brothers and sisters to help them. We're Catholic, we're Christians. We want to help the homeless people if we could, but we can't help everybody. Now, they lived there for almost 3 years. Your code inspector went out there. He had the police department go out there, issue forms. We're very settled and everything, but they just keep pooping everywhere, and it really stinks, and it's horrible. And then they try to get into your yard and take what you have in your home, and you try to protect them, but it's just horrible over there. If you go back behind Starbucks, you go to McDonald's, you go behind Tractor Supply, there's nothing but homeless people. And now you're opening the dispensary in that area, right on the very corner of 1873. There's only 2 houses, which is our house and Sandy's house next door, and the dispensary. Now, the lights are on full blast all night at that new dispensary you approved.
What'd you say?
The dispensary for marijuana.
All night is what? Oh, lights.
Lights are on full blast out there. So you go out there about 2 or 3 in the morning, which I can't go to sleep because I don't trust the people that come in and out. We have a lot of traffic there all night long till 4 o'clock in the morning. And they sleep right under the lights at that dispensary. They don't care. They go under the fence. They go over the fence. They go through our garbage cans. They take everything out, spill it everywhere. We go out there and clean it up. And they go, now I have fruit trees up front, so they take all the fruit. That's okay. As long as they just get away from us. We're just too tired.
Okay. We're going to have the police chief reach out to you guys before you guys leave. We're working that area. Like I said, we're not perfect. We don't have an ultimate solution, but we can do better for you.
I know,
promise.
sir, but there's one thing I would like for you to think about. Put some of those porta potties out there somewhere, Don't let those people go poo everywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it. And the lots too, have them clean those lots, because the more weeds you get out there, the more fire hazard, and the more those homeless people are going to be tending their tents out there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Okay.
Any other members of the public?
I realize this is twice in the same night, so I want to apologize for that. So a couple comments on the topic at hand here. I've actually cleaned up 2 sites. One was prior to new code enforcement. and chief. And not only did I have, at that time, I had one heck of a struggle to just clean up a site. There was a lot of debris, a lot of trash, a lot of needles, a lot of feces that doesn't need to be there. But most recently, I was actually contacted by the new code enforcement, Daniel Garcia. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty impressed with how fast everything went down between him and fire. You know, those two guys, Danny Suarez, everybody kind of came together because they saw a little, you know, on Railroad Avenue, there was a 7-foot deep hole about 20 inches away from, you know, a PG&E power pole. I mean, that's kind of a big concern here. And if you guys don't think that's destruction of property, then I don't know what is. So I wanted to make you aware of what kind of, you know, damage was being done. If some car drives by, just so happens to go in that hole, well, who's liable? Now the property owner's liable. The property owner's going to be mad at the city because the city wasn't help handling the problem. But I'm here to tell you that as of right now, once this, you know, the new switch is done, Daniel came in with chief and fire together and everybody, you know, we addressed the whole situation. I went out there, I was able to do it. We did have, it was actually 40-something tons. You know, your embellishment wasn't that far off. That's enough stuff to fill half this room.
It is.
I mean, that's horrible. And the property owner has to pay for that. You know, not only is he potentially doing something in the town, that's kind of a deterrence. So, you know, from a development standpoint, we need to keep these lots clean. But I just want to let everybody know and the community know that, you know, the new direction has literally immediately changed in the past 3 months. And I've been personally affected from, you know, a cleanup standpoint. And I want you to know that it's moving in the right direction finally. And so I wanted to bring a little more positive, you know, back to, you know, your guys' theme here. It's really working. So it takes time to fix it, but it's being addressed and it is staying humane. We gave them five days ahead of time. I think Danny may even have been out there prior. We went the day before, you know, and we allowed them time to move out of their stuff. One, they drove a mobile home on site. So not only is there a mobile home fully functioning with generators running on site, you know, we actually gave them time to leave and tow it out of there. And it was just, the police department was very helpful with the whole situation. So I'm happy how it's going. Just want to let you know.
Thank you. Any other members of the public like to come forward at this time? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Council, you have any questions on what we're doing? None? I think with both the two comments from the two speakers there, I think one part of the discussion that we had with the county, all the city stakeholders, and the assemblymen was super positive, but after hearing your testimony tonight, I think we need to include, at our level in Atwater, I want to start including the property owners as stakeholders and start having a meeting with, I'd like the city manager to direct staff to start reaching out to you guys and meeting, not with coffee with the chief, but we need to engage these stakeholders, the landowners, because it's a private property issue. When they're on your property, you get stuck with a bill, you get stuck with a cleanup. We come out and be the bad guys, hey, clean it up, you didn't create it, they came here. So it's a big vicious circle, but if you're at the table with us while we're doing something, I think we can all succeed. So I'd like the city manager to figure out how to get the property owners involved. That's all I have on the homeless update, and I'll bring it back to the dais for council comments. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Forgot, we moved to the back of the meeting. This time I'll open up general public comment to anyone for any item at this time. So do we have any speaker cards?
I have to just read the public comment notes of the public first, and then I do have 3. At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and are placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. First, we have Lori Johnson.
Lori Johnson. I'm here to let you know that moving public comment to the end of the meeting hasn't deterred us from talking. Moving the time clock behind us hasn't deterred us from talking. Trying to intimidate us by turning residents against us hasn't deterred us. Like I have stated before, we have been through the best of the best, and we will be here long after this panel is gone. We are here to expose the crimes and corruption in our city government, the disrespect they have for their residents. I'm not saying this panel right here does. I'm saying that has had the council members that have had disrespect for the residents. The untruthfulness and the lack of transparency in our city government. This needs repeating. I was told I talk too fast, so I will slow it down. The city refused to take our money, lied and said our card was declined, stated that we have never tried to pay that water bill that we didn't know. That's two different contradicting things right there. Then they accepted money from a third party and turned our water back on just to make it look like we were lying. And we have documented proof of that. So why did it take over 4 years of making us suffer without running water for this city to take money and turn our water back on? Communities come together right away when residents are going without water. Why does Atwater have no sense of community? I ask myself this question: why are people saying, why don't you guys quit fighting? Your water is back on. Do they realize that we had no water for over 4 years? We were fetching water. Fetching? No, that's a lot of unnecessary suffering that this city and Public Works put us through. Now I ask, why should we not be compensated for their intentional cruelty? Like I have stated before, Mayor Paul Creighton, you must lead by example. If you love thy neighbor, your residents will follow. And I see you're going in a positive direction. I could see that tonight, the way you're dealing with more of the public issues. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other members of the public?
Next, we have Richard Johnson.
Mayor, City Council, Richard Johnson, 1675 Drake Avenue. You know, there's so much I got to say, so many crimes. It's just mind-boggling how much my wife and I have been through with this city since just in 5 years. Glory, I will. And I got to say one thing right now, changing that to the public comment to the end of the deal, into the city council meeting, that's the worst thing you could do. You did it for you guys, but you didn't do it for the public, because the public has a right to know what we have to say, and we are going to say it. Let me tell you right now, if I got to protest for 10 more years, I will do it. I'm sorry, but in order to make this world a better place for future generations, you have to right the wrongs that are going on in this present day. What if we lived in a world where everyone felt, why should I fight or protest or expose City Hall? Let someone else do it. Your freedoms, incomes, and all other luxuries would be at risk. And let me tell you this, they were already paid for, and at a high price. Your responsibility is simple. Do not let them be paid for in vain. Fight to keep those rights. The hard part has already been done for you. If someone is willing to fight to make your community a better place, rally behind them. Show your support. Remember, there is power in numbers. And so far, we have come this far with our number being only 2. Imagine the possibilities if more people would be willing to fight for a better tomorrow. for better Atwater. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lucy and Greg Gardado. Okay, thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, my name's Greg Gordado. I was wondering, like the homeless people that are here and stuff, maybe some of them come from another state, maybe want to go back home to that state, but in their situation they can't. So maybe the city could buy them a ticket and then give them a little bit of money to go back home where they would like to. And that's all I really got to say, though.
We would like to, but we can't.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
But it wouldn't stop the public at large. I think that's what we're going to have some of the discussions on, if people truly do need help like that. That's a good idea, that's a good thought, to get them back to their families where there is support mechanisms, so. Yeah. Any other,
That's the last speaker card that I have, Mayor.
any other members of the public? Pastor?
Pretty much cleared out the room.
Yeah. Chief, don't forget to talk to them before they leave tonight.
All right, just two things so we can finish up here tonight. So I'm a human being, so I battle with a sin nature, carnality. So I'm going to start with the carnality side, and then I'll give you the spiritual side, all right? I'm thankful you guys moved the public comment to the end of the thing, because I sit here for 2 hours, and if someone wants to make a public comment, they should wait just like I wait. So I thank you for doing that. That's my carnal side, okay? All right, spiritual side, there's a Bible verse, Philippians 3:14, or 3:13 and 14 that says, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus." We have to be able to put things in the past. And I'm glad that when I came here 10 years ago this November to be the pastor, that when people said, "Oh man, the previous pastor, I had an issue with him, this or that," I could tell them, "Well, I'm the new pastor. We're going a new direction." And once again, I'm just one person, but I appreciate the direction the city council is going. I appreciate the direction that the city is going. So keep up the good work. All right?
Thank you. Any other members? Come on up.
Mary Ann Amarant, I'm just going to say Atwater. Rumor has it that our water tower was emptied, and I was just curious as to know the water basically was drained out of there and went back into the ground. So I was just curious where our water is right now, about our TCP and all of our good stuff, if I could get an
So
update.
we will answer that questions in depth, and know that, to my knowledge, that water tower has never been drained. They do flush it occasionally. It does
'Cause
go
it
on
was
the ground, they
pretty
water
murky.
the park. But our public works director will get with you tonight to answer those questions. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Well, yeah.
We have a really strict guidelines with our yard sale, garage sale. It has to be up and down by 4 o'clock, and signs have to be down also. So I'm just curious why we're so strict about yard sales, but we allow other people to put God We Trust and everything else in front of their yard, and we don't. They can put derogatory things about our city and our council and people that we care about.
We will
Just
have
leave it at
that
that.
same individual, the public works director, reach out to you to answer that question. And if that's not the first time on the garage sale things came up, so maybe.
Well, it's just interesting, because I asked Lori about our code enforcement, and so I went on our website, which hasn't been updated for a while, and it specifically has all these guidelines about yard sales. We're so strict on yard sales, but yet we let other people put derogatory things about people that we should be proud of and not be, and I don't like them talking about God our Savior, so I think we need to keep him out of the.
And some, there might be other cases where we're in current litigation with things and
Gotcha,
people,
okay,
so we have our hands off on some people.
All right,
So,
thank you.
a little deeper, but they can go into detail with you. Any other members of the public like to come forward this time? See none, close public comment, bring it to the dais for council matters. Cale?
Well, today we celebrated the City of Heroes. We had Little League kids who were Northern California champs, definitely heroes. The city fire department, or the fire department, definitely heroes. The police department, today, opening a school, and as I was driving by Mitchell, I was like, man, I better be careful. Way too many kids around here. And sure enough, there was one of our police officers sitting there waiting. And I thought, good, I'm under the speed limit. Everybody else should be too. So that they were those heroes. The simple citizens that were helping out the neighbors were heroes. It's an honor, a true honor for me to sit at this table in this chair today to celebrate those heroes. And I am humbled to be in this town with these heroes, truly humbled. I also like to ask for your prayers and positive thoughts that go out for our Sheriff Vern Warnke, who's having little health issues. And we just hope and pray that he gets up and moving around as well as he can. He's a tough man. I know he's going to be doing that soon. Thank you.
Before we go on to anybody else, Chief, you had a comment?
You reminded me of something. Wednesday is back to school day. We are going to be out in force, including me. We've got cooperative, if you saw our Facebook site, we've got a cooperative agreement with the California Highway Patrol. We're gonna have 4 radar trailers out in strategic spots throughout the city. Before this meeting, I picked up 2 additional radar guns from my former jurisdiction, plus 2 to 3 LiDAR guns out. We're gonna be posted in front of schools enforcing school zones. So take a little extra time to get to work because we're not gonna tolerate school zone violations on Wednesday, both on the morning drop-off and the evening one.
Thank you, Chief. Ambrose?
I think Councilman Kell pretty much summed up everything. Congratulations to the Little Leagues for how far you guys went. A big thank you from the bottom of my heart to Jacob and Everett for stepping up and putting faith back in our humanity. Everyone always says love thy neighbor, and that right there is a very good example of that. For residents who've reached out to me recently, I will be getting back to you guys. I know I haven't replied back to emails or text messages just yet, but within the next week, you guys will be hearing responses from me. Like the chief said as well, school starts back on Wednesday. Make sure that you're under the speed limit there, and that's it.
Pierre?
Tonight, I don't really have much to say. I think it was a great meeting. More positive progress, and it's exciting, a little more exciting to come to the meetings as we move forward. And I've said it 100 times, positivity breeds positivity, and I just see it as we kind of started here and are being led by our mayor, and it's spreading throughout the community. And it feels really good to see everybody kind of with a little hitch in their giddy up, I guess you want to say. But anyway, it was a great meeting, and like you, John, I'm honored to sit up here and help push the city forward. Thank you, Chief, for bringing a plan, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Brandon?
I got nothing. Everything's already been said.
We just got waiting.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do have a friend that needs a prayer?
Which one?
Chief of the sheriff?
Well, John beat me to it.
You can still say something.
Yeah, no, well, I guess just, sending prayers out to the sheriff and his family. It was great to see Little League here. My dad helped start that about 30 years ago. And it's actually where I met Pastor Miller, coaching his daughter. So
You know, the referees, right?
I probably did yell at him. I don't know. I'm fairly competitive at times, so that's it. I got nothing.
Okay. I think the only thing I just want to comment, everything's already been said, and also prayers out to our sheriff. I know him personally. I think he's one of the strongest guys I've ever met, mentally, physically, mentally, he helps a lot of other people. He steps up. If you ever got to see the personal side of the guy, he'll give his shirt off his back for you. So our prayers, and let's all say something nice for our sheriff and wish him speedy recovery and get him back to work so we can harass him some more. I'm proud and honored to be part of this. It's not a one-man show or a one-woman show. It's a team. Everybody, you guys out there, everybody. So the community, thank you guys for letting us be up here. There's not a day goes by that we're not trying to do something better and just create a better environment, a better community for you guys. When you're coming home, you don't want to worry about all the drama at City Hall and all the other baggage that goes on in life. You want the potholes filled, the parks green, the kids happy outside, come home and be peaceful, cook dinner, and enjoy your family. That's what you want, and that's our goal as a council, is to provide a quality of life for you so that you can enjoy your time when you come to Atwater. And when you have friends over and you're relaxed, they pick up that. People pick up what's going on in Atwater. It's a contagious attitude, and I like what we're doing. I think the community said we're going to go a different direction, and this council's moving forward in that direction pretty fast. We've got a good team here, a great team. Like I said, best police department, best fire department. We're getting there, and just super proud to be part of it. So we're going to adjourn back to closed session and continue working for you guys. So thank you. That's so distracting.
I know, it's like,